Vestavia Hills City Schools podcast. I'm Whit McGee.
And I'm Brooke Wedgeworth.
Hello, Brooke. How are you?
Hey, Whit. Happy January.
Happy January. It's the middle of the month. Well, we're on the second half of the month now, and it's been great to be back here for the start of the second semester so far.
Yes.
But with the cold, kind of murky weather that we've had this month, we're already thinking about summer. So, do you have any exciting summer plans?
Yes, I'm so ready for summer. Well, not at this point. I'm hoping to maybe get on, do a little trip at some point this summer.
Yep.
And then most of the summer will be spent with summer reading camp, lots of professional learning, which
Yep.
we'll be talking about today, and working with our new teachers. And then I feel like then it's time to start a new school year. So
It does sometimes feel like summer is nonstop.
It
for
really
us.
is.
I do think we're going to get a little family trip to the beach.
Good.
Love the Alabama Gulf Coast. Lots of good food and always seems like a good time. And Heather Hurt is with us today. Heather is a fifth grade teacher at Vestavia Hills Elementary East.
Yes.
Any big summer plans for you this year? What do you think?
Yes, I'm actually super excited talking about professional development. Yep. This was not planned at all, but I was accepted last summer into a program at Yellowstone National Park for their STEAM training.
Oh.
And I don't know if you heard, but there was a major flood that washed out the road connecting Yellowstone to Gardner, Montana. And so the training was canceled. But we were invited back again this summer. And so I will be there this July, spending a week in Yellowstone with other educators, learning about STEAM and Yellowstone National Park, our very first, in my opinion, probably the best national park. And I just cannot wait. So excited.
And for our listeners,
Yes.
you have to know Heather is a huge national park nerd, whatever.
It's fine.
So yeah, and she incorporates a lot of that into her classroom. So that's super interesting.
In fact, that's kind of their nickname, the Hertz Hikers,
It is,
right?
yes.
And I love the aesthetic in your classroom of just all of the different national park and exploration stuff, because that's sort of a mindset that you want to instill in them with their learning too, right?
Yes, that's correct. Yes, so we're the hikers, and I teach math and science, and each of my students in science gets, they're not assigned, they draw from a jar wood chips, and their wood chip has their national park on it. And in fifth grade, we spend a whole fall semester studying ecosystems. And so they learn about ecosystems in general, but then also can apply that specifically to their national park, which then, of course, differentiates the learning. And it really, I could talk for hours, but it's really, I can't wait this summer. It's going to be so fun.
Well, and I think this is a great tie-in to what we're talking about today, Whit. So our focus for today's podcast is really on professional learning. And I think it's important to note that a lot of times, people know what teachers, counselors, what educators do, but what people may not realize is that it goes beyond, the everyday work. But our teachers are really engaged in professional learning on a regular basis. So that's something that they engage in throughout the school year. Mm-hmm. And what might be really interesting is they also, just as Heather mentioned, it's something they spend a lot of time doing in the summer. So people think, they're off in the summer, they're sitting by the pool every day, all summer long, which we hope our teachers do that as well. But our teachers really spend a good bit of time in professional learning in the summer too, and after hours during the school year. So I'm really excited that we get to share with our listeners today some of the many things that have been going on in our district during this school year and some of the offerings that we have to come. So we invited Heather to be with us today because she has really been a big part of developing and forming a group of educators within our district who really want to continue learning. And so I wanted Heather to join us today and share a little bit more about Ignite. So Heather, if you would just start by telling us maybe where that idea came from and really how it got started.
So I'm the type of person who likes to connect people, connect ideas. I'm always saying, oh, you grew up there? I know somebody else who grew up there. You want to learn about that? So did somebody else down the hall. Let me put you together. And I'm also a very strong believer that a rising tide raises all ships. And I grew up in Vestavia, proud graduate, 97. I love our community. I love our school system. I love my students. I love my coworkers, and I'm always looking to make myself better. I'm continuing to learn. I would say that I'm a curious person. And so because of that, I thought, you know what? We have great professional development opportunities, but what if we had another level, another layer that's more organic, that it is educator driven, that we come together, those who were interested, and somewhat like-minded as me, but also not at the same time, which is what makes things really good when you have many ideas. And what if we created a group within our school system that we are focused on professional development, although that sounds very flat and boring. So we have a much deeper purpose statement than that, but just a group of people who are interested in learning and being better as humans and better as educators. And what could happen? The sky's the limit.
So I'm interested to know how long ago did that idea really form? And can you talk about just a little bit more about the formation process? What got the ball rolling? Because this is an entirely homegrown effort on our part. This is not some outside group that's telling us or driving this. This is Vestavia teachers wanting to pour into Vestavia teachers.
That's correct. So in 2019, the summer of 2019, which now seems like it was forever ago, and it kind of was.
Right.
I mean, really, lots of things have happened since the summer of 2019. I have a friend who teaches in California, and she and I were talking, and she was kind of helping me work through some ideas. And she said, well, it sounds to me like you need to do something in your district similar to what we do. Well, she teaches in LA Unified. It's one of the top couple largest school systems in the entire country. So what they do would not exactly work for us. And plus, that's been happening for a long time. So I said, well, you know what? Maybe we could begin something, our own version here, where it's just organic. It is, we don't have a strong path for the future yet because we want to see what develops as we're on our road. And we have guiding principles, but no, like this is step 1 and that is step 2 and that is step 3, because too much prescription and then all of a sudden that no longer fits. If we had been very structured from the beginning, who knew that COVID-19 was going to happen? And this whole plan would have completely fallen apart. Now, the plan had to pause for several years for us to get through that pandemic. But if we had been so structured that it had to work around this time frame or it wouldn't work, well, then it wouldn't have worked. And so that's where it began. And so I came to Brooke and I said, I've got this idea. It may be crazy. I don't know. Do you think that this might work? And she said, I think that's fantastic. And so one thing about educators is that we can be in our own little bubble, because I teach 5th grade at East. I don't know who all the teachers are who teach at Liberty Park Middle School or at the high school. I know some of them at Pizitz because my kid's at Pizitz, my oldest child, but I don't know all of them, and I don't connect with them on a daily basis because we're all in our own lane. And these types of groups help us to broaden our perspective and broaden our knowledge. I'm super excited about what's happening. So,
well, and the neat thing, and I love that this started with an idea and that Heather reached out and said, hey, can we make this happen? And so to me, those are the best ideas, is when it comes from one of our teachers, one of our staff members, and they're like, hey, what about this? Can we do this? Because that to me is, well, it's just so empowering, but I feel like those are the types of things that really gain traction and are successful. And so Heather reached out, we talked, tried to put together a design team, which again, made up of teachers across our district. So then, like she said, really working to connect people and bring in like varying perspectives. So our design team actually met first, was it last fall? All the years do run together. So,
yes.
And engaged in a book study together of the book, Think Again by Adam Grant. And I know Heather's going to share a little bit more about that book with us today. But that design team just really started brainstorming and coming up with ideas. What will we call this group? What will be our purpose? And then what could this look like for the future? And so, Heather, I'd love for you just to tell us a little bit more about the purpose of the group, which became titled Ignite. Whit even designed a logo for that based on some ideas from the group. And then what's going on this semester with Ignite is it's finally actually getting launched beyond the design team. So I know our listeners would love to hear more about what's happening now.
Yes. So came to Brooke because, like I was saying earlier, we're in our own lanes, and I don't know who all could help with this. Who are the thinkers in our school system, the people who are interested in these sort of things, the people who are in their place in their life right now where they could handle something else, because different life chapters have different challenges, and sometimes you just don't have time for things like designing a professional development team for your entire district. And so, we came up with Ignite, and our logo is a flame. Because we are wanting. Well, first of all, we're a learning community for educators. Not the word, again, professional development, wah, wah, we all need it. We all go to it. We go to great ones, and they're all really, really good for our students. But if we're looking to entice people to come to our events, the things that we're doing, professional development just has sort of a flat ring to it. So we are a learning community for educators because it's not just professionally developing. It's also like the book we're studying this semester. It's life stuff. We are growing as communities, not just professionally being developed, like how to be a better math teacher. And so we have 4 tenets of our purpose statement. We want to build communities with educators. Again, it can be such an isolating profession in some ways, and that you know your people that are around you, and that is it. And this helps to widen that group that you are in contact with. We're going to deepen our understanding of pedagogy. We're going to broaden our understanding of contemporary issues. So we're not, again, just limiting to, we're going to be better math teachers and number talks or how to write a better essay. Way larger than that. And we're also not being super specific what those things are because, again, things change and I don't know what's coming. And so we're going to broaden our understanding for the betterment of our community and our students. And then we're also going to help inspire the passion for teaching because as we all know, in everything that we do, all different career paths, there are highs and lows, and teaching is hard, and it is so rewarding, and I love it so much, but sometimes you need a little bit of a reignite, and just meeting with other like-minded educators and getting that spark, from them. What a difference it can make in the trajectory of even the rest of your year, just putting something back in like, man, I can do this, or that's a fabulous idea. It's going to change my entire classroom. You just don't know. You don't know what can come out of meeting with other educators. And so it's really, really exciting.
It sounds like the purpose of it is really to give new life to people who have been doing this for their career, and to do something beyond just checking a box to say, I did, this many hours of professional development, or I went to this seminar. It's something that is tailored to and for Vestavia Hills educators and for what our needs are here in this school system. I'd love to hear a little bit about the book that you've been talking about, maybe a couple of things that you've taken away from it early on that you feel are applicable to our school system and just you, even you and your professional growth as an educator.
Okay, so we are finally starting Ignite for the first time, and we are so excited. There are 8 of us, by the way, on our design team, and these educators are from schools all across the district. We have me, a couple of us in elementary. We have a middle school or 2. We have some high school teachers, some AP teachers, your advanced teachers, and it's really cool to see, like, from my perspective of like, okay, other people want this too. It wasn't just me. This is so exciting because it just, it's always nice to be validated, but also that means there's a place for what we're doing. And it's exciting to think what the possibilities could be in the future, even though they're currently unknown. I like that about it. I like that we don't know exactly what's coming in the future for us, but I do know what we're doing this spring, And it's what we did fall a year ago. And we're doing a book study of a book called Think Again by Adam Grant. And I would be remiss if I didn't pause and thank the foundation, the Vestavia Hills City Schools Foundation right now, because Martha Martin wrote a grant for us, and they are providing the books for this book study, which is very generous of them. And I can't wait to see the results from that grant. So thank you, Martha, and thank you for the foundation for our grant. But Think Again by Adam Grant is not a book for educators. It is a book for everyone. Any adult, I think, should probably read this book if you haven't already. There's some great things in here. One of the chapters has the title is The Joy of Being Wrong, the thrill of not believing everything you think. And, just thinking about things in a different way can be so empowering. Again, we do, I teach fifth grade math, and I teach very similar lessons every year over and over and over. So it's kind of nice to step out of that role for a minute and think, well, hold up. Am I doing this the best? Was I wrong about that? How could I fix it? Things like that. It touches on things like the armchair quarterback syndrome versus the imposter syndrome. I loved that chapter. Just a great book in general. So Adam Grant is just very insightful in general, so I highly recommend him as well. For the spring, like I said, we begin the week of January 23rd. Our book clubs are going to meet 5 times between now and spring break, about every other week until then. We are having 8 different groups. 1 virtual, 7 in person. They're offered at almost every school in our system. You did not have to sign up to go to your own school, and not everyone did that, which was great, because that means we're creating community across other schools. And it's just people who were interested in growing themselves. Maybe they needed that spark. Maybe they saw a purpose statement. They're like, you know what? The spark is what I needed. Maybe they wanted to just be a part of a community. They couldn't have cared less what the book was. It doesn't really matter the reason they signed up. I'm thankful that they did. And I think that I'm hopeful that, that they're going to grow and be a better educator and a better person because of it. So we're very excited. One other thing about our group is that it was important to us that we were increasing choice. We give choice to our students, but we also want to increase choice to our educators and to our peers. Choice, voice, agency, and community for our Vestavia Hills City Schools educators and our administrators. We have administrators signed up in our group as well. So, and the thing about these groups is they're all meeting after school. So these are not worked into the school day. These are faculty members, administrators saying, I want this, I'm excited about this, and I am dedicated enough to stay for an hour after school. And that's pretty impressive.
It is. And this is so exciting. As we've said a few times, it's really been a few years in the making. And just to see it really launching now, I think it's the perfect timing, but super exciting to see what these book studies look like over the next couple of months. The result of that, I feel like there will be so many opportunities for people to really connect who probably have never even seen each other, met each other. So I'm excited about that. The neat thing just in talking to Heather is that, we're doing a book study right now, but there's so many, it's very kind of vague at this point because we know there's a vision for the future, but we don't know what that is yet. And so Heather, just maybe share with our listeners about where we hope to see this Ignite group go, maybe the opportunities, because it's not going to end with this one book study, and hopefully will not be limited to just a book study, but what could this possibly look like in future years to come?
The cool thing is that the opportunities are endless. We keep being vague, but we just met with our facilitators yesterday. So, when I say we are just starting, like we're literally, these are beginning next week. This has been in the works and been planning for many years. But as far as the future, I threw it out yesterday at our facilitator meeting. I said, this is no pressure on you, but if you're just put in the back of your brain, if you're thinking of that you enjoy this opportunity, you enjoy thinking about the future of projects, and that you might also want to join our design team. This is not a closed group, we want people who maybe also feel that a rising tide raises all ships, that if you do better, I do better. We all do better together, and we all have lots of things to share. We all have lots of things to learn. And so I'm excited to see what ideas they bring on as well. Book studies are an easy way to get started. And easy, I say that relatively. I mean, again, we found facilitators, which shout out to them because they said yes, and I'm so thankful. But it also gives them a leadership opportunity on the district level, which I'm really excited for them as well. I also gave them the charge of if you think of something in the middle of these sessions, let us know. If you come up with a great idea of what might happen in the future, let us know. We don't have anything set in stone yet because I truly feel like it's just there waiting on us. We just haven't gotten there yet. The idea is going to just present itself, but it's just not time for it yet. And so it's going to come out of these groups. Book study is not where this is ending. It's just where it's beginning. And our group is a nice size. And it's exact size we wanted for our first run with Ignite, but it's going to get large. I really have a feeling. And it's going to be all different types of groups meeting in all different ways. And honestly, the sky's the limit. And it's really exciting to see.
I think it's a very good thing that the future is open for this Ignite group, because just having another program where everything's already outlined and you know what you're going to get, it's not always the most exciting thing. And it's also something that's not really flexible and adaptable to what our people need. And so knowing that this is something that really pours into our own people and it's going to be what we need it to be, wow. What an exciting thing. You touched on something a second ago, Heather, that I think is important, and Brooke, to point out and emphasize, which is that this is something that these teachers are doing and administrators are doing on their own time.
Yes.
They're not getting an additional a supplement or any kind of additional money for this. And that's also the case for a lot of what goes on throughout the summer months when those teachers could be off doing something else. Like you said, they are sacrificing their own time coming in to want to get better. And there's a lot of things. We have a little short list here of some of that professional learning that takes place. Brooke, you want to highlight some of that? Other things that are going on that teachers are saying, yeah, I want to step up and be involved in that.
That's right. And I could talk about professional learning for probably several hours. This is obviously something that's a big part of my job, but also what I'm most passionate about is really seeing our people grow and develop and become leaders. And so one group that I would really like to highlight is our teacher leaders group. And so Heather was actually a part, what is not surprising, but she was a part of our very first cohort. Really, the mission of teacher leaders is that we empower them to lead where they are. So it's not about necessarily being a school or a district leader. Some people will go on and do that, but it's how do you lead on your grade level? How do you lead in your school, in the district? And so that's one of our big goals for people is that they come up with ideas and that those ideas develop and grow, just as what happened with Ignite. So we're actually in our third cohort of teacher leaders. Teachers are able to apply and then get accepted into that cohort. And it really goes on for about a year and a half. So there's several days of learning and growing and connecting within the teacher leaders program. They develop a project that they're going to implement throughout the district or at their schools. And then they graduate from their cohort in May of the next year. So we'll actually be graduating our third cohort in this May. So I'm really excited to see what this group will do. They, again, are already really leading. Some of them are actually facilitating in some of these book studies, or some of our past cohorts have stepped up and are facilitating. So it's just really neat to see how these people have stepped up and the things that they just do on their own. So that's one thing I can say. I've only worked in a couple of different school districts, but our teachers are not only amazing teachers, but they lead too. And so that is just, it's amazing
Absolutely.
To me to see. Some of our other things that we're doing, which may not be quite as interesting, but we've had a focus really on English language arts, specifically leading up to this year because we have new state standards that are being implemented this year. But so we've done training for all of our elementary teachers on Benchmark Workshop, which is our English Language Arts program for elementary school. So our teachers engaged in training last summer. They've continued with some of that throughout this school year, collaborating and planning with each other. And then they'll continue more training in the writing area of that this summer. Some other things that we have going on in the summer is we'll have some phonics first training and some structures training. And I'm sure some of you are like, what in the world is that? But that's actually something we started several years ago because we really saw the need to really beef up and develop our phonics program and provide really multi-sensory instruction for our kids. So that started with our kindergarten teachers probably about 4 years ago. Then we trained all of our first grade teachers, our second grade teachers. Last summer, our third grade teachers were trained. And so that's now something that we will roll out to our fourth and fifth grade teachers over the next year. So that's, again, part of our upcoming professional learning. So those are a few of the exciting things that we've had going on throughout this year. So I think it's interesting. You know, we talk a lot about English language arts or math or science training, but our fine arts teachers. In fact, we've got several of our music educators are at their at their state conference, even this week. I know our dance and visual arts teachers have already attended some professional learning. So it's not even just specific to classroom teachers, but it's our ex-ed teachers, our paras, our administrators are in professional learning, a couple of times a month. So there's just really a lot of opportunities out there.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Even as you were running off that list, I was thinking to myself that I've got a professional development meeting for school public relations officials coming up next week in Alabaster. So we try to take on important things that are happening here in the state and make sure that we're communicating and being transparent and open with our communities and doing all that in a way that's helpful for families. So it's throughout the school system. Also, I was thinking about Hope Institute as well, and a lot of work that we've done there on character education and our mission statement pillar of appreciation of diversity over the last several years. And here we had an episode with Dr. Blair Inhabitant, who's the principal at Vestavia Hills Elementary Liberty Park. Love for you to go back and listen to that one. She went into that, and I am certain that we will be highlighting that more in future episodes as well. So just a lot there. And then also, beyond that long list, there's even the ability to create your own professional learning. And a lot of our teachers do that on things that they specifically want to explore. Heather, I think you've done that before. And
DIYs?
Yeah.
Yes, do-it-yourself. They offer that every spring. Make sure you turn in your applications by a certain date. And yes, that is one way that we come together, often as a grade level or specifically like math and science teachers in fifth grade at my school, and tackle something we need to plan for the next entire school year, which is really quite a blessing, honestly, that's given to us in the summertime. Because once school gets started, the ball is rolling, and it's hard to look forward a little bit when you need to have those systems in place already. So,
we've had DIYs now really going on. I think it's been about 9 years, and that's something, as Heather mentioned, that we offer every year. Graciously, the foundation really helps us fund a lot of our summer professional learning opportunities and definitely our DIY so that we're able to continue to offer that every single year. But teachers do submit an application in the spring, and they have criteria, and they have to align with the goals of our strategic plan. And then once their applications are reviewed by committee, then some are granted that time, and then they're able to meet in the summer, like Heather said, various groups. Sometimes those are school specific. Sometimes they're across the district, and they really do design their own learning. And then they meet usually for a half day or a full day in the summer. So that's just, we have many professional learning opportunities throughout the summer that we plan and teachers can choose to attend. But then that's one of those that we just really provide it and oversee it, and then teachers design it. So those are the two main offerings in the summer. as well as administrators. We have a 2-day professional learning session where we're all together, all school and district leaders. And then we also have new teacher training that goes for, I believe it's 3 full days, usually about the end of July, where we spend 3 days with all of our new teachers together in the system. And that is, I think that's probably one of my favorite things that we do all year long.
Oh, for sure, for sure. It's great to welcome those new folks to the team and just get them acclimated with the school system. It is interesting walking around. I love spending some of my time walking through the schools and just seeing what's going on and documenting everything. But I'll tell you what, in the summertime, it seems like sometimes those schools are just as busy as they are during the school year. So that's always fun. Yeah. Hey, one other thing to mention before we get out of here on this one. I know we have thrown a lot of names and descriptions of things at you because they're really, it's a long list of things, and that's by design.
Yes.
We want these opportunities for our staff. So if you would like to see a more comprehensive list of what we do in professional development here in Vestavia Hills City Schools, it is on our website. So go to vhcs.us, head to the Teaching and Learning tab, and then you'll see a button that says Professional Development, and you can go there, see a full list. We keep it updated throughout the year, and then it'll take you to links out to the different resources that we use to teach and train our staff. So wanted to make sure to get a plug in for that.
Yes, thank you. Because we do, I mean, like I said, I could talk for hours about all the opportunities that we've had, even just this one school year. So it's a very comprehensive list.
Absolutely. Heather Hurt, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you for listening to the podcast. We'll talk to you again soon.